Nick Mira is one of the most famous music producers of this new generation, with some of the top songs such as Lucid Dreams by Juice WRLD that rose all the way to the #2 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. And even if you're not a music producer yourself, there's a good chance that you've heard his name mentioned before. I mean, there was literally a couple years straight where all I saw on YouTube were deconstructed videos of Nick Mira breaking down yet another one of his top hits. So today, we are going to cover the 5 biggest production tricks that have helped him to land such huge placements in the music industry. Now, a couple quick disclaimers before we get started. The first thing I want to mention is that even if you apply all of these tricks into your production, it does not guarantee that a placement will just fall into your lap. You will still need to get your music in front of the right people and hope that the vibes you bring to the table are what that artist is looking for at that time. Lastly, you will still need to put in the necessary time that it takes to dial in your craft and get your beats to a professional level. Unfortunately, these tips alone will not allow you to skip the hundreds of hours that are required to get you there. With that being said, let's jump right into it. We do have one quick bonus that isn't exactly a production trick, but it is extremely important for anyone that's looking to get more placements with their music, and that is networking is your net worth. I'm sure you've heard this saying before, and this couldn't be any more true in the music industry. A lot of success in the industry can be attributed from the relationships that you make and the people that you know. Why do you think that some artists blow up extremely fast compared to others and may not even have as much talent? It is because they knew the right people that could get them into the right situations. In fact, one thing that greatly propelled Nick Mira's music career was finding talented artists who hadn't quite made a name for themselves yet, and then providing them with the beats that they needed to start crafting their sound. Nick did this with several artists, but the one that really helped start his career was Juice WRLD. And the funny thing is that Nick wasn't even the one who found him. It was his friend and fellow producer, Beatz. Just listen to the story of how it all went down.
My bro DT, aka producer named Beatz, he found him on Twitter. He was like, yo, this kid from Chicago, he's got like 250 SoundCloud followers. He's like, he has mad talent and nobody knows about him. Let's work on him, let's get hands on. Let's like make him a bigger artist or just work with him, make dope music first off. I put it in a folder and I texted this beat to Juice. 2 days later, he was on Periscope. He's like, I'm working on this beat. Nick come through. He had like, I don't know, maybe 50 people in there. We were just watching him make the song live.
Now it's time to cook up.
You never know who the next biggest thing could be, so it's important to always be on the lookout and have a network of like-minded individuals who can put you onto new talent should it arise. And you can hear Nick talk about this same exact thing happening once again with a totally different artist who went on to be a star.
Taz went on Twitter and he's like, I want to do a tape with this kid Lil Tecca. And I didn't know who he was at the time. I thought he was crazy. I thought he was super talented and like everything. So I was like, I want to help out. I want to be a part of that too. So, whatever you need from me, just let me know.
The first production trick is hyper-focus on the musical aspects. One thing you will notice Nick Mira doing time and time again is spending most of his time on his melodies. He will tweak the MIDI, change the pitch, try out new sounds, play with different octaves, and keep tweaking everything until it fits together perfectly and meets his highest standards. He mentions that the melody must be all the way there before he can even start working on the drums.
I say the number one most important thing to me when I'm making a beat is always my melody. Like, if I don't have my melody right, or like the actual musical components of the beat, then I just can't focus from there on out.
Because his melodies are usually more complex, he allows the drums to be simpler. You want to make sure to leave room for the artist's vocals in the beat because they are the lead instrument in the song. Next time you are making beats, take a second to consider if there's enough room for the artist to do their thing.
I felt like the melody really carried the groove, so I wanted to keep the drums like stupid simple.
The next production trick is complementary sounds. This is an art form and not something that should be quickly overlooked when making your melodies. Anybody can find sounds that work well together, but only the best can find sounds that work together in harmony. When Nick picks out each layer of his melody, he does so with purpose. Let's hear him explain his thought process when he is crafting each layer of his melodies.
It's just like a regular grand piano, the basic of the basic. After I had those main chords laid down, I went and grabbed a Rhodes keyboard from Keyscape, and I just layered the chords on the bottom, so there was more feel to it, and it was more spacious. I don't like my beats very monotone and like very centered, so I put the Rhodes in, and there's a lot of reverb on it, and it's very spacious, so you can, you feel it more. When it's just right in the middle, you're not really getting the same vibe.
One thing that Nick talks about all the time is saving your favorite instrument presets. This will help you save tons of time when you are searching for the right sounds in your beats. The next production trick on this list is instrumental experience. By no means is this required, but having experience playing an instrument can do wonders for your production. Not only will you have a general grasp of chords and music theory, recording live instruments will sound better than what you can get out of a regular VST plugin. While VSTs are getting more powerful by the day, there's only so much you can do on a computer-emulated instrument. A lot of Nick Mira's biggest hits feature his guitar samples that he recorded and sequenced himself. Take a listen to a couple of these samples and you will notice the huge difference in sound that you can get from real instruments versus VST plugins. Another thing you will notice in a lot of Nick Mira's top songs is his avoidance of using dry, out-of-the-box sounds. I think this is yet another example of his high standards and how even if he has a really good melody laid down, he will keep on tweaking it until he can get the absolute most out of it. This is a great mindset that everybody should adopt because it will have you pushing to make your best music every single time. I notice a lot of producers will be happy enough to have made a good MIDI for their melodies and just call it a day. But what they don't know is that tweaking it just a little bit more could make the difference between having a certified hit on your hands or a mediocre melody. Just look at how he was able to transform a regular sounding keyboard into a tasteful melody.
And that's just one sound, but it sounds like there's a bunch of different sounds because I added a bunch of effects. One of the effects was this growth speed right here, just half speed again. But I added this gate. It kind of reminded me of like Drake, like If You're Reading This It's Too Late, how he does the bells, like 40 did on that. And then I added this plugin called Effect Rack. This basically made it sound like less of like a keyboard, I guess, and more of like a pad. And without the effect, that's what it sounded like.
The last trick that we're going to be covering today is choosing the correct 808 notes. You must have your bass line and your melodies matching so that they flow smoothly and form together in your music. This way, they will never sound out of tune or be questionable in the mix. Like we mentioned earlier, the artist's voice is an instrument of its own, and as such, there should be enough room in the beat for it to fit in. Since the 808 is such a dominant part of modern day music, it will be loud and have a strong presence in your beats. And because of that, it is important to have it following your melody instead of making another pattern, which will only add more complexity to the rhythm of the beat.
So after I did that, I copied the root notes from the melody and pasted it on my 808, the #1 key on how to tune your 808s. Right here, I have the 808 for you guys to listen to. It's in the same key as the melody, so it is not going to be out of tune. The bounce on this also goes along with the ARP of the Electra video game ARP that I played.
as you can hear, Nick keeps the 808 moving with the melody and matches the bounce so that it's always in key and keeps a consistent motion that can easily be understood by the artist. And there you have it. These are your 5 production tricks to land huge placements in the music industry. If you apply all of these tricks into your production, I can guarantee that you will be exponentially increasing your odds of landing that new placement.